You what now? Eh? What? What's going on? Put your collar down. Don't worry about the shirt. He's got a shirt on, but he hasn't showered. So I was supposed to have fucking washed by now. There we go. I did think about going topless for this, but then I thought, no. You can wait for the topless stuff. Maybe Monday. Maybe tomorrow, which is Monday. Welcome to Last Rites, day 9 of mourning. When I said 9 so aggressively, I did feel a bit like a Nazi. Nazis were sexy, but they were wrong. Why did we go there? I've got what have we got today? We've got 61 deep. I wasn't going to drink. I haven't even eaten yet. But for breakfast, I've got a 61 deep. Breakfast at 1 p.m. I've been up since 9. No food. I don't think I've had food. I might have, to be fair, I might have eaten and forgotten. I don't think so. First beer of the day, of course. Directly after this, I'll be heading into London. But my friends are already late. They're already late. They're supposed to meet me at 4. Now it's 4:35. Don't like this kind of stuff. But yeah, this will probably be like 30 minutes or so. I thought I don't think there's any other royal news current. I don't think anything happened. I think it's still just a really long queue, and you know, people are queuing, and then some people are there, and one person's dead. Probably more than one died. I think we're going to hear about deaths in the queue. 24 hours, and there's a lot of old people in there. I think it's going to be a couple of heart attacks, a couple of strokes at least. But I'm pretty sure that news would be suppressed for the next day or so. That's what I would do if I was in charge of the news. Dean's in the house. David Bergreich. Ben Klistler. Brett Kuritu. Cognac and Coca-Cola. Fuck. What for breakfast, Dean? Jesus Christ. You people. I've only been doing one beer, not even a day. I had a beer Friday, I had a beer like Wednesday. But today I'll have a few. I'm going to have this one. And then I'm going to go after this and cook a little bit of food. Just a real quick, like little kebabs on sticks or something. And then I'm going to head out. I'm not going to drink too much before I meet my friends. I don't want to be day drunk today. I've got a show to go and see and try and remember. I don't want to be drunk when I get there. Seems a bit silly to me, but we'll see what goes on. Yeah, my friend. Well, you'll meet her soon. One of my friends, a very funny comic, was in Southampton last night. Last minute, went to see Stanhope. She's the one who doesn't know who he is, but I think that's refreshing. Now she's gone. Her first experience of him is going to see him live. I think that's pretty cool. And yeah, I'll be going tonight. Hammersmith Eventim Apollo. I hate these fucking corporate. It used to be just the Hammersmith Apollo, then it was the O2 Apollo. 102 took all the venues, and now it's Eventim. It's not a bad place. What have I seen there over the years? Trailer Park Boys live. Who the fuck was I talking to that might have been in the same show? Maybe it's someone I met in Edinburgh. Someone who I met was in the same show, Trailer Park Boys Live. Would have been 2013. I remember the day I had a hangover from hell. Pretty sure I saw Tom Segura there, and I guess it would have been probably 2019, probably like 4 months before COVID, I would think. It felt like an October night. And Jim Jeffries, I would have seen like 2017, somewhere around there. And with the friends that I'm going to meet today, it used to be our tradition to all go out to these things together. And we've not really been able to hang out for a while. Let me get this beer open. Who are Trailer Park Boys? So it's Trailer Park Boys. Canadian. It's kind of like it's just a great Canadian comedy show, but you need to watch lots and lots of them to get into it. Let me try and bring them up here. And this has got nothing to do with the subject matter of this video. We're going to talk a little bit about the Sex Pistols, 1977, and God Save the Queen. I'll bring up Trailer Park Boys. It's just I just channel flicked and found it. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm looking on YouTube here. I just channel flicked it, and found it. Yeah, I'll just bring this up. I'll just goddamn bring this up. A second. So if anyone's coming just for the Sex Pistols stuff, don't worry. I'm an idiot anyway. I'll probably talk for 5 minutes about it, and that'll be that. I'm drinking. This is Trailer Park Boys. I think it's a fantastic comedy. I think it's still making it. It's one of those things you need to watch like 20 episodes, and then you get into the characters. Been making it a long time now, but yeah, they did a live show at this. I think probably then it was. I don't even know if it is the O2 Apollo. Then it might have been. It might not have been. But yeah, so that was one of the shows, and they were smoking weed on stage, and then people in the audience just sparked up as well, which is illegal, obviously in the UK, but no one seemed to give a fuck that day, which was good and interesting, I say. I'm just pressing random buttons here. Oh, you do know Trailer Park Boys, Dean? Yeah. So the live show was fantastic, and I forgot about some of it. Hey, Tom, do you want me to talk quietly, my friend? 5 a.m. 5 a.m. I'm not so refreshed today. The shirt is just to cover up my stank because I literally haven't washed, and I'm going to shower directly after this. So the guy with the gut, Randy, was running around the audience. I forgot about this until I met someone recently that was at the same show, which is wild. Cheers. I'm sure you're on your coffee, Tom. But I'm pale out. Which is pretty wild to meet someone who was at the same show and he reminded me about some of that stuff. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. It was 9 years ago now, which is pretty wild. But it's a beautiful dark desert morning from Bisbee today. Yeah, what time of year was I there? I was there in early October. Yeah. You've got a weird memory for trip dates. You can just pick one out. Yeah, it was early October. I'm thinking about the 10th of October. I was down that way. Yeah, it must be nice to wake up with that sunrise over there if the weather's good. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to do this every day with this, but I haven't. This will be pretty short because, as we know, I've got things to do today. Now, the Sex Pistols were a band that one of my oldest brother was into. So they were a lot older than me. So when I was probably 4 or 5 years old was probably when I heard the Sex Pistols for the first time. He was really into them. He had the vinyl, Never Mind the Bollocks, which in my opinion is a great album. And a lot of people say, oh, it's just one album, but I'm of the opinion that if you make 10,000 shit pieces of art, but one good thing, you're amazing. That's amazing. And they just put this one album out. But I think it's great. And not even if you don't like it, I think you've got to, if you don't like the music or you don't like the album, culturally, that album, you never know what will happen, right? Sliding doors and all that. But if you took that album out of musical history, it all changes. Post-punk, new wave, all that stuff in the 80s, probably the hair metal, everything's like a reaction to what was before. You don't know what impact that would have had, like across the next 50 years, which is wild. It's nearly 50 years old. Maths is right. It's 45 years, isn't it? Which is pretty crazy. I wasn't around then, but my family were. So I've heard about it. My brothers were kids then, but I think they kind of knew that time. And the 70s in the UK, it was a dark place. It was kind of 25 years after the war. You had like the weird 50s where teenagers first exist. And then the 60s sort of rock and roll and peace and drugs and all that. But the 70s were a reality check for the country. All the optimism had gone. The 60s had come to an end. The Beatles were split up. People are crying. But society is fucked as well. In London was, there were still piles of rubble. And I think I've seen interviews with John Lydon about this, that there were still piles of rubble where, German bombs had landed on the place 25 years before that just hadn't been tidied, condemned buildings and run down shit. You had strikes going on, like a lot of strikes, including, garbage man, bin men, going on strike, so you've got these piles of rubble. There's a lot of poverty. People are working a 3-day week. The rubbish is piled high. There's probably fucking rats everywhere. People are depressed. And I mean, you also had Northern Ireland kicking off big time in the sort of mid-70s, which, you know, the Troubles, it's a war, isn't it? So a lot of that kind of shit getting really violent. And and sort of down the pipeline, you've got the Queen's Silver Jubilee, which is 25 years in power, which is wild in itself to think about, not in power, but, you know, as a symbol of the nation. So that kind of, I always find that kind of, when you look at music, especially for the past 50 years or so, when you've got cities that are in the fucking dumps and they're down on their luck and they're fucked, great art comes from that, especially music. You know, bands from Manchester, Liverpool, Scotland, but London as well. London's always had a thriving music scene, and the Sex Pistols came out of this. You know, they were hanging around, as far as I know, they were hanging around Vivian Westwood's shop on, I think it was on Bond Street. I think it was called Sex, which I guess where the sex part of the name comes from. And they were kind of patched together, playing, you know, just playing London circuit, I think, just kind of known-ish around the London circuit, bit of a wild young band. And they wrote a song called No Future. But Malcolm McLaren, being their manager, being a sly little bastard that he was, he said, I should rename it God Save the Queen because the Jubilee's around the corner and it'll be great publicity. And he was right, of course. So, they renamed that. They're playing around London. And then they get kind of this national fame. They go on a TV show, Bill Grundy type chat show, and they get the whole band in there. There's Susie Sue there as well. And Grundy makes like a weird comment about Susie Sue. So one of the Pistols just swear at him. And at the time, swearing on TV was a big no. And so he encourages them. He's like, go on then, you little oiks. You know, what are you going to say now? So they, you know, you're a dirty little fucking rotter and all that. It's a great clip. But the shockingness of it probably isn't, probably isn't. I just stopped talking, didn't I? You know, your fucking brain stops working. The shock of it. Like when you watch an old horror film and you think, come on, we've got cooler shit than that now. But in reality, you got to think about the context of the times. I think this will work. One day I'm just going to put porn up there by accident. This is the Bill Grundy show. So they're all sat up there, Susie Sue in the right, smoking in the TV studio, yay the 70s. And so he encouraged them, and then they start, you know, swearing and fucking around. But that at the time makes them nationally famous. They're in newspapers, they're everywhere. Great fucking publicity again. Whether McLaren told them to go on there and cause a stink, who knows? But they kind of weren't doing that until that point. I think it's been a long time since I've seen the whole interview, but you can find that clip on there. Sex Pistols on Grundy. So that makes them kind of infamous as well as famous, right? And what you've got to remember is that it was still a very street party atmosphere. Britain was still into the royal family in the 70s, and the decline has been coming since the 1920s, but post-war especially. And I've done it again. Let me plug in my goddamn motherfucking laptop, bitches. There we go. But there's still a lot of love. People that have fought in the war and all that stuff, and their parents were still flag waving and all that. You know, it's whatever. I won't understand it because I wasn't around then, but I can understand. You know, as I said before, my family, my mum especially, is really into it. I think she identifies with the Queen and all that stuff. I don't know why. Same age, probably similar age. She's not. She's 20 years younger. What am I talking about? So they basically renamed the record God Save the Queen, right? Which is a great idea. I think they've been dropped by EMI at that point because there's a song called EMI about the record company. And they sign with A&M and they do the signing for the record contract outside of Buckingham Palace, right? So, just again, more publicity. So it is clever marketing for the time, for sure. You're kind of seen as like an anti-establishment, or you could be presented as that and then signing outside the palace. Again, back then, it wasn't, particular popular. They got into a fight with a DJ, right? And within days, the record company drops the band. They just go, oh, yeah, we've pressed 25,000 copies of the single God Save the Queen as they approach the Jubilee, and now you're off the label. And by the way, we've destroyed all the vinyl. So they're without a contract. There's no music out. They're like, well, we renamed this song. We've done this whole thing, and there's the Jubilee's weeks away. So they've basically got no one to represent them. Virgin Records then step in, which was Richard Branson. So he had Virgin Mega stores over here. I don't know what he had in the US, and they were good stores actually. They were around until I think the early 2000s, maybe a little bit longer. But they've gone now. He kind of got rid of that side of the business, I think. So not only could he sign them to the record company, but he also had a record shop, so that you can sell them in the store. Because this time with the controversy, a lot of record shops wouldn't even put their shit in. I wish I could play the music on here, but they're such, YouTube is such dicks. Let's go and listen to God Save the Queen after this. Also heard a great acoustic version in a different key years ago. I'll try and post that stuff on Twitter if I get a bit of time after this as well. So they've had this fight with DJ. They've been dropped. Branson's picked them up. They're seen immediately as offensive as soon as the single starts playing. So the BBC ban it from their radio stations, which is huge. BBC's like an establishment or state-owned company, but at the time there's no fucking internet. The BBC are the flagship. They drop it. A ton of independent radio stations also go, we're not fucking playing it either. You can go fuck yourself. I think that was the word they used. So again, the management, McLaren gets, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll get a boat and we'll go down the Thames, if I can find this, and we'll play a gig. And as we get to the Houses of Parliament, we will hopefully fuck me in the ass every time. When we get to the Houses of Parliament, we will go straight into God Save the Queen, which again, fantastic marketing. It's kind of two fingers up. It's in public, but of course, it does go a little bit wrong. I think that's from the actual boat party. There's a few recreations of it online. Yeah, that's it. So they play the gig, but they get, of course, as soon as they do it past Parliament, the police boats come in. They storm the boat. They arrest. I think they arrest McLaren, and they close it down. Public disorder offence, all that stuff. It's what they're arresting people for now. If you hold up a Not My King and call Andrew a Nazi rapist, they'll arrest you for public disorder. But back then, it's especially the stuffiness of the UK back then. They're kind of done and closed down. I would have loved to have seen that, walking across Westminster Bridge and seeing that boat come under and then the police storming it. What a piece of history. But yeah, a lot of people were probably very against them, especially people walking around Westminster at the time. But of course, no publicity is bad publicity. The record sales go through the fucking roof. Heading for number one, except it never gets to number one. We had a TV show called Top of the Pops right up until 20 years ago or so. But as a kid, you would watch it. They'd kind of run down the chart and they'd show videos and various performances in the studio. Jimmy Savile used to host it sometimes. I think he was on the first one and the last one, I think. And I think so. So it must have been before he died, before he came out as a necrophiliac. Yeah, so they instead of playing the Sex Pistols' "God Save the Queen," they play a Rod Stewart hit. I can't remember what the fucking song was, but who cares? So they fuck them. And in the charts compiled by the BBC, they're not there. It's basically because of all these record companies had cut them off and Virgin was stuck in them. The way charts happened back then, obviously now it's all from API calls, right? It's all automatic. But back then it would be recorded sales from a record store, which I assume would then go to head office in a fucking ledger book, which then was sent via this compiling company, and then they compiled the chart for the BBC. Except for this week, when they were heading for number one, I believe no records at all from any Virgin store were counted. I think it was just a blanket. There's no records in the Virgin stores, which looks a bit iffy, like someone's dropped a box in the Thames. But the BBC, of course, deny it. They go, "Oh, we hired this company. It's not us." It's nice to inadvertently or indirectly blame someone else, right? So yeah, I mean, it looks like there was pressure on the compiling company from either the BBC or the government or both, or MI5 went in there and set fire to the fucking boxes of paper records at that time. And so they never got counted for the charts. So the Top of the Pops wouldn't let them on to perform. So it was a genuine conspiracy to keep them off the top of the one because of the affront to the establishment, I guess, which is pretty fucking wild. I just wish I could play the song on it. You know, I love the song. And as a teenager, when I started listening to it more and more, when I started to learn to play guitar, I'd listen to it. Every once in a while, going on a Sex Pistols rabbit hole. They did a gig in Finsbury Park in the 90s, and I remember listening to it on the radio. It's a great live show, actually, that one. In 96. I don't think I ever got to see him live, but I would have liked to see him even in the 90s because I think they re-released Pretty Vacant and stuff. They were still performing pretty well. Obviously, the musicians were a lot better by then. Sid Vicious had stabbed his wife or whatnot. But yeah, would have been great to see, but. Yeah, it must have been so weird to have you almost get in this cultural band, everyone's fucking aware of them, and then they're just not allowed to be at the top. Just sort of this weird little oppression from the establishment. But yeah, I was also going to say something else that I forgot, but I think that's it. I wish I could play it. I wish I could play it. God damn it! I could do a cover version in the form of a whistling folk singer, but that would be also a little bit weird. But it's a great album. Never mind the bollocks. I'll always go down that little rabbit hole. Always bring it up. And yeah, that's what I was saying. So when I was a teenager, I got into it, and I was very anti-monarchy. A bit of a fucking nuisance. So I thought of it as just a front to the monarchy and all that. And the lyrics are, potential H bomb, potential hydrogen bomb. God save the Queen and the fascist regime. It kind of is. But, Lydon's accused of many things now, including selling out. But, look, signing a record contract is selling out, isn't it? So what do people mean by that? Selling butter, being on butter adverts? Yeah, if you need money, you need money. And listen, about Lydon as well, he's been a full-time carer for his wife for years. He's got advanced dementia. I would fucking strongly suggest he did a music podcast or something. I think that would be great. I was going to write to him about that as well. And he started doing some videos when he was over on a thing recently. But if he did something consistently, I think he could have his own thing and make a lot of money out of it. There's still a big audience for Lydon. I like hearing him interviewed. But he's not really anti-royal. And he even said, I always thought that, okay, he was then, but he's not now. But he wasn't really then either. It was kind of anger at the establishment, but he was never really hateful of the royal family. It was just kind of expression. And you got to remember, they were young kids when they were writing that as well. And it was kind of expression of that scene that was sick of the flag waving. What it is, it's a juxtaposition of the flag waving when there's so much shit going wrong in society, which I think why people are a bit angry at the moment. We're in a cost of living crisis and an energy. I'm not because I'm fucking great. And I work hard. I'm fine. But no, my parents and stuff are worried about it and all that kind of stuff. I'll have to help them out. I'll have to come and fucking light a fire in their front room or something. They do have an open fire. But, you've got all this shit going on in society, and then you've got all this pageantry and, a £10 million funeral and are you fucking rotted yet? What's in there anyway? Nazi secrets? Is it Epstein's hard drives? What's in the box? That's why they stopped the guy rushing it yesterday. He was going to tip it over, and it would have just been hard drives and fucking iPads from Epstein's New York mansion. I've no fucking idea what I'm saying. I've barely drunk any beer. But yeah, go and listen. Even if you don't like the music, go and just look at the impact that album had. It's probably still influencing bands today. There are probably 14-year-old kids that are hearing that album for the first time today and think, fucking hell, that's a bit, I like that. Let's make some noise on a guitar. And wherever they go from there is where they go. But I fucking love it. But that album's been ingrained in me since I was about 4 years old. Of course, I went off, listened to it, and came back when they did their comeback. Then I went back into it, and I don't listen to it for 5 years, and then go back into it again, and then watch a documentary again. It's just coming in and out of it. It's like when people die, like when Bowie died, right? And then people go, oh, what a fucking legend. And then critics on Twitter and stuff going, yeah, but I never saw you talk about Bowie before. How come you love him so much now? So people have lives. You really, especially when you're young, you've got all the time in the world to listen and talk about music, and then fucking life happens, right? Sometimes I would listen to Bowie for 5 years intentionally. You hear it, and then it's like, fuck, I haven't listened to. You kind of get into that, and you go down a rabbit hole again. So that's the same with me with Bowie as well. Now, the same will be probably when Lydon dies. I'll go, fucking, that guy was a bit of a legend. You can criticize him for whatever, but I think he's cool. That's my opinion, and I think he's had a good impact, an important impact on the music industry, bigger than almost anyone else in the UK. Just because of what sprout, even if it was antagonizing someone to create some different kind of music, that's the influence then, isn't it? You don't have to love it and try and replicate it or do homages to it or be inspired by it. You can fucking hate it. There's the reaction against grunge and the Britpop and hair metal, and you pay your respects, you hate it, and then 30 years later there are revivals. But with that period of time, though, D might argue with this, but punk was 2.5 years. Punk was maybe 3 years, like 75 to 78, and then it's sort of going away, and then sort of a Green Day type band, which often were getting called punk at the time. You can't really be punk. You can be inspired by it. But I think it's a cool thing. I'm quite glad that it was England that came from. Well, there was a great punk scene in New York, but what I'm talking about is those bands in London at the time, and Sex Pistols in particular. I think they're great. But I'm sure there's a lot of hardcore punk fans that are too cool for the Sex Pistols. As with anything, there are people that are too cool for a band, or if they find a band and then it's theirs and it's their thing, and they start to get bigger and they fucking resent other people for finding it. It's like, well, that was my band. I'm really glad I haven't even been looking at this, because I didn't realise I hadn't been on screen. It saved you the T-Rex riding the shark with laser beam shirt. Rainbow laser beams as well, so it's kind of LGBTQ friendly. There we go. So listen to me. That's good, isn't it? I've got to go back over all these goddamn motherfucking comments now. Yeah, Tom, Trade Department. The series is great. They do many. I haven't showered. I don't know how I'm getting away, but it's the good lighting again. They've done a few movies and swear that, and I submitted a video to their website years ago, and it got loads of votes and stuff, but I didn't. It was to win something or other. But yeah, the live show was really great. No punk. There's no anything without anything, right? There's no R&B rhythm and blues, not modern R&B, without slaves building railroads, getting the rhythm from the fucking hammer and the chain and the everything influences everything else. Yeah, Bill Grundy, absolutely wild. So I saw Pill live. I think again it would have been about 2013. Stone Rose. I like Stone Roses, right? And they reformed briefly, and they did some gigs. And I was at Finsbury Park, which is where the Sex Pistols did their big comeback gig in the 90s as well. And Pill was supporting. So in between getting ripped off for expensive food and seeing people with their kids and the parents have got red eyes and fucking kids are on acid or whatnot, I watched Pill. And it wasn't a great performance that day, but and at the time, Lydon was looking a bit old. He had this weird shawl on, but they hit a few things right. And I do like a bit of Pill as well. YouTube can't flag that, but I love a bit of Pill as well. They toured recently, I think. I'm pretty sure they toured when he was over for his court case. I think they were touring around. I'd go and see Pill again if I get a chance. Yeah, Tom, I had no fucking idea. I was on the other tab, which you were seeing instead of on here. I'm fucking, Well, yeah. I mean, he's not the thing is, Dean, most people, a lot of people with money will vote Tories, whether or not they tell you they are or not. So I think a lot of musicians, despite what they tell you, will probably vote Tory if they vote at all for the tax relief. You know, people who tell you they're men of the people probably aren't. Barry's, yeah, I think. I need to look into. I think. Yeah, there was obviously a big thing out in New York, but how does that get to? Like, I guess people might have come over and played in London, and then the kids saw it. I should know that really, and probably did at one point. But our version of it was a reaction to society, was a reaction to the shitness of the 70s, of just people just being allowed to strike forever. Listen, as I said before, unions are good and everything, but I'm not saying under my regime, if you go on the strike for too long, you'll be in the river, but bring your swimsuit and go to fucking work. Maybe I'm a Tory wanker. Yeah, Bowie's great. And that what he did with that last album when he knew he was dying of cancer as well. And the video where he's dead and telling you he's dead, fucking phenomenal. Because it was released just after he died, right? It's like, oh yeah, he's dead, and then his album's out. So yeah, I need to get into that. There's his album in like 2003. Was it Heathen or something? I still think of that as Bowie's new album 20 years later, because I remember seeing an advert on it. I was like, I need to check out Bowie's new album, and I just never did. I used to live with a Scottish guy that was a huge Bowie fan, like obsessed. So he took me down some rabbit holes on that as well. But yeah, Bowie's phenomenal and just ever changing, right? Ever changing styles, music, everything, disco, rock, a little bit of punky type stuff. Yeah, obviously the glam years as well. Bowie was fucking. He did some cool stuff. Oh, Black Star, that's it. Yeah. See, I'm not as in it. I'm not as Bowie nerd about it. I just forget. But I remember when he died. Obviously, I went through that album, and the video was great. The video was fucking phenomenal. That very well done. Cancerous dying David Bowie. Cheers, man. There's my phone. You know, I'm googling now. I'm googling the fucking train. Oh, thank fuck. There was going to be I can get the tube, or I can get this other railway thing, which I'll be getting because it's quicker into London. There was going to be industrial action this weekend. There was going to be strikes, and I would have had to put people in the fucking river. But because the Queen died, they called off the strike so people can get around. That's the only reason I can get into London easy today, because it would have been a bit more of a pain. Replacement buses we do over here. Fuck you. Unbelievable. Konopka graduated from high school in 76, 20 minutes away from NYC until the whole punk movement. CBGBs, that's right. You were when I was in Brazil and spoke to Mind Dog. You were telling me about this. Yeah, you know, even when I was young, some of those punk girls, man. I think it's great. I need to go back and do it, because probably I did a similar dive in the late 90s or something like that, right? Or even 15 years ago. But we get older, we take in a lot more information, and I just forget shit. And I wasn't around then, so the 90s were my time. So I could tell you anything about then, but yeah, going back into that kind of history is something I would like to do. I've obviously watched a lot of Sex Pistols documentaries, and I love the movie with Gary Oldman, Sid and Nancy. It ain't that bad. People shit on it, but it ain't that bad. There's a scene where all of a sudden they go on the piss, and it kind of flashes up. And then I think Vicious maybe comes out of a pub called the Spice of Life. And I started going in the Spice of Life on Tottenham Court Road. It's just next to Leicester Square. because of that film, because of Sid and Nancy. And by the way, it's still there. It's very different now. They have open mics in the back basement. I don't know if they do comedy, but they certainly do some good music. So if you're in London, go to Spice of Life, and there's a secret little basement. Sometimes you got to pay, sometimes it's free. Gets busy because it's on Tottenham Court Road, but I still go in there. I'll maybe like once, twice a year now, but yeah, I started going in there because of that film, and that's probably, I know a lot of pubs around Soho that have been there for 20 years. Some are different, obviously, Covent Garden, but I started drinking around there. Maybe I've always grew up just outside London, but I think that film, the Sid and Nancy film, did really get me to want to go out in London and Soho and stuff. I think it had a big part to play anyway. Yeah, that's awesome, Tom. That is awesome. You know, seeing as everything's running fine and my friends are going to be a bit late, I might stick around another 15 minutes or so. Yeah, so it's just more of me watching a 10-minute fucking documentary and making notes today. And go, no, yeah, that's what happened, yeah. Because I forgot about the order of the record companies. It was EMI, A&M, Virgin. Always got confused about that. I bet you my brother still has the original vinyl of Nevermind the Bollocks. I bet you he's got it. As I said, I've got some vinyls now, but I've got nothing to play them on. So at some point, I need to buy a player. I'm a fucking idiot. But I've got hand-me-down. I've got like the Ghostbusters theme tune single and the original Thriller album on vinyl in a case somewhere. I've got them. And probably, to be fair, I've probably got Do the Bartman as well by Bart Simpson. Come on, you got into it, you fucks. Yeah, I feel bad for Tom. It's 5 a.m. You know, I should not get too excited. Tomorrow, guys, the last one of these. Yeah, well, I think I'm going to do more daily stuff, but not all the time. Oh, and in other news as well, I might be helping out, and Jamie as well, and Jess and other people. Mind Dog's going to be somewhat engaged for sections of his show, so I might be helping out on there. But we can talk about that later. Tomorrow, Monday, we've got the live coverage of the funeral from 5 to 7 a.m. Eastern time. So I don't know that you'll be asleep. It'll be like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. for you. But catch up with it. We'll do like 2 hours. Then I might have to go and help that other idiot. And then at 1 p.m., I mean, idiot with all due respect. About 1 p.m. Eastern, then I know that's 12 Central. I'm going to forget where Pacific is on there. We'll start with the last Rites Day X, which was Three Kings Cometh, me, Jamie Dykes, and Brett Brock. Now, I haven't spoke to Andy. I left it with someone else this time, or someone else did it. So I'm relying that it's true, but I've put him on the thumbnail anyway. So Andy Andrus should also be jumping in on that tomorrow. I don't know when he'll be on, whether it's from the start or coming and going. I'll just send him the link tomorrow and go do what you want. I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to bother the guy. Just got over chemo. So we should be seeing, it's now 4 Kings Cometh. Can I bring that up for you? Maybe not. But yeah, that annoyed me because the little poster I quite liked, and I was like, fuck, man. I've got to alter it. There we go. Let's bring this up for you guys. I'm going to try and get some people to actually fucking subscribe to this channel as well tomorrow. I don't promote it enough. Let me bring this up here. This should be it. So yeah, I just said get islands in the stream because the word is add to stream. There we go. 4 Kings Cometh. I did okay with the poster. It's a bit busy, right? I know it's a bit busy, but I needed to get everything that was on there. So if you've got a fucking problem with it, you make me a fucking thumbnail, you absolute scumbag. Don't ever go, that's a bit busy, Carl. I told you it was busy. If you don't like it, you fucking do it. And I'm not going to pay you. But yeah, so 4 Kings Cometh tomorrow. Took Brock's picture from his Twitch. We need to get him. I should have used his Andrus Brock sketch, and then he would have done the whole thing. That's what I should have done. I'm such a gimp sometimes. But yeah, that'll be 1 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be a drinkathon, guys. So you better pull up. Listen, if you don't drink, that's okay. get a pot of coffee, get some avocado water, chop out a line of Xanax, Ritalin, whatever you're into. We'll be boozing. I'm hoping Jamie's going to pace himself. Brock's fine. He can drink 106 beers and be fine. I'm going to pace it. I'll drink some beers. And I might get rummed up later. And yes, Tom, I mean, these do go with the shirt, but in the second half of that show, these are coming on. And there's nothing you can do about it because we'll get weird. It will start out all happy. We'll all be coherent. You know, Brock will be nice. And then later on, we'll get mean Brock. Jamie will stop being able to talk, and then it'll get weird and awkward, and then we'll end it. But that could be 5, 6, 7, 8 hours in. Who the fuck knows? Drinkathon it is, sir. Friday, 7 Eastern time. That's midnight for me on Friday. I missed the last one, Dean, because you know what? I wanted to see it, but it is sometimes difficult if, you know, I forgot to go to bed and all that stuff. But Friday midnight might be possible. If I'm about, I will jump on that Twitch stream if it's on Twitch stream. Is it a Twitch thing? Put the name of the Twitch stream in the chat. And going back to the future of this, I think in general there's going to be 2 episodes a week. I don't know about the format. Well, it's just internationally, didn't it, more than anything else. You know, actually, when I'm in the States and stuff, if you're doing stuff, I'll be able to see it for sure. The format, I'm not sure about those 2 episodes because obviously I want guests on and all that. Should hopefully get Brett Erickson on at some point soon. Obviously, Andrew's still on tomorrow, but that's more of a drinkathon. And then I could do one that's just me talking shit. But I'm going to be bringing on board, hopefully, more physical in-person podcasts. I have now officially recruited my podcast partner, and they will be revealed very soon. And we'll try and record. Potentially, we'll be with them in Austin as well. So we're going to try and record some stuff in person out there. And you'll be seeing a lot more of this person because I just want to announce it on the show. I think it's more fun to announce it on the show rather than say who it is. And then we're going to be working together over the next year. So we'll be putting together an hour of stand-up. Our first hour, it's like a 2-hander thing. Now I'm just saying this part and taking it to various festivals next year and hopefully the big one. So watch your space for news. We should be able to announce it in November, December for one of them. And then those gigs might seem a few months away, but then they'll start to fill up in the middle. And then after that one, we'll be able to make another bigger announcement, hopefully. But we'll know stuff in advance. It's just a better way to do things. We need to promote one thing. We need to do some work in progress stuff and all that. So it's a big challenge for both of us, but you know, I'll explain more. What I'm going to do is get this person on the show as a guest, and at the end, I will announce that she is part of the team, and we're going to hope to grow this thing faster. I'll say that, and eventually get many more in-person ones, and they won't always be live streams. Some of them will be pre-recorded, but we'll always do live streams because I quite like the interaction. It's good. Stops me hanging myself. I always laugh after I say things like that, but you know, I'm 60% joking. The time is weird indeed. So yeah, I think doors to this Stanhope thing go in 5 hours. The show's probably at 8, I would think. So in 6 hours. And yeah, I'm about an hour door to door from central London. So I can leave anytime in the next 40 minutes. And we'll get going and see the Stanhope show. Kanupka, I remember this older white lady on the subway in NYC asking this young guy with his multicolour Tri-Hawk, what do you use in your hair to hold it up? The guy said, I use my cum. Gum? No, cum. No, gum. There's also a great scene in Star Trek 4, The Undiscovered Country, where they go back in time to save whales because aliens come to talk to whales and there's no whales left. So they come back to the 80s, and it's like Spock on a bus, and there's a punk listening to a ghetto blaster. He's got the orange, I think he had the orange mohawk. He's like, and then Spock puts him to sleep, right? Even Star Trek got on the punk wagon. Come. No, come. That's a man with a Tri-Hawk. That is the answer he should give, right? I heard about a story, here's some royal news, and it's not great, but some of it's funny. A man was arrested on sexual offences yesterday for, and I quote, getting his dick out. If that wasn't in the news, so it's not a quote. He got his dick out in the queue to the mourners, and I guess, if it's in front of young girls and stuff, it's not good. But the funny thing is, he gets his dick out and then he leaps into the River Thames like just some sort of fucking bad Aquaman. Just sort of, have a look at that, and then jump in the Thames. That's the funny part to me. Just that, not that if anyone's obviously fucked up, or if, God forbid, he touched anyone or anything like that, but that's the funny part to me. You get your dick out to the royal mourners and then jump in the Thames. And then I'd hope there was more to the story where he came out with superpowers or something, but no, he got arrested as soon as he got out of the Thames. And by the way, fuck jumping in the Thames. The currents are crazy. It's deep. It's cold. There's so much shit in there. There's probably bodies and cum in there. Shopping carts, guns. There's lots of guns in the Thames. Shit, weeds. It's cold. Those currents are fucking crazy. He's lucky he didn't fucking die in the Thames. It's a wild thing. But yeah, he got arrested immediately on release. On releasing himself after releasing himself. After the Queen released herself from this mortal coil. Synchronicity, isn't it? Talk some fucking shit sometimes. So yeah, that happened. And I've got to listen out because I might have a visitor soon as well. My goddamn sister might visit soon, so I'll have to turn this off because she'll go, "What the fuck are you doing? Are you a teenage girl? What are you doing talking to a webcam with a light on?" I don't tell my family anything, but she's coming in to help me out in a few minutes. But 48 minutes. There we go. I talked some shit today. I got a shower. I got to cook these little kebabs, and I got to get to London. So I think I'll give you 5 more minutes, maybe, unless I get a knock on the door, and then I'll have to go. I didn't jump in the Thames yesterday, in case you're wondering. I wouldn't. No, I often walk by the Thames and look in there, and no, it's not for me. It's brown. I know about the history of London. I'm not. There's probably 1,000 dead homeless people in there. No, don't jump in the Thames, guy. Well, don't get your dick out, but don't jump in the Thames. Don't get your dick out first. Don't get your dick out, then don't jump in the Thames. And in general, don't jump in there. That's what I wouldn't do. If you're sick of my face, this is also available on audio platforms. I'm not putting any of I might put this one up, but I'm not putting in general any of some of tomorrow's because it will get the second half will get weird. But in general, I'm not putting up the solo stuff up on there because it's just fucking, it's just me, innit? It's just me. But it is available on audio platforms, wherever you get podcasts, and most videos will be up on Rumble as well. Listen, the channel's monetized on Rumble because they just give you instant monetization, unlike YouTube. But of course, it's hard to drive traffic there. But I kind of like YouTube. I like YouTube. So we're going to work on YouTube. "We laughed our asses off," said Tom. "The old lady was clueless. Many of the New York punks that live in suburban New Jersey, New York City, would often adopt Brit accents also. That to me was also funny and phony. Sorry, I tried to. I don't know what your accent is. I forgot. Yeah, well, Madonna did it after a week of living here. Hello, everybody. I'm with Guy Ritchie now, and whilst I rub my vagina in his face, it's going to distract him, and he's going to make comparably more terrible movies until I remove my vagina from his face and stop dressing like an English gent with a flat cap and tweed. That was Madonna. That was Madonna's downfall. Yeah, really looking forward to it. Obviously, 2.5 years in the making. But yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good to catch up with some friends. The reason I wanted to meet him early because I want to have a couple of beers with them in the pub. If they get there just before the fucking show, we can't. We're sitting separately because we got stuff separately. I might not see him after. I need to make it back. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the gig, sir. For sure. I'm probably gonna 2-3 minutes wrap this up. I won't make the hour, but I'll make the hour, as in 2 p.m. for me. And quick bite, and then I'm out the door. I mimic, right? So I naturally mimic. If I speak to my Brazilian friends, I start putting on almost their accent in English. You see, I'm coming here to the airport. Sometimes I'll start sounding like their Brazilian English accent, which I still do it, but it's just more like I'm not thinking about it. But yeah, if you are in a place where the accent is very different, sometimes it is easy to just hit that beat, I guess. I like talking like Brock. So if I get to, by the way, I might be able to go to Nashville. I don't know. It's because I'm going to New York and Austin, and then I've for sure got some spare days, which it could be that I stay in Austin, or it could be that I go to LA, or it could be that I go to Nashville. I don't know. I'd like to go and see Brock and have some beers with the guy. So I'll see if I can do it. But I love doing his accent. I think if I was with him, I would just be like, cheers to you. Cheers to you. That's right. My name's Brock and I draw. That's not his accent. But I'd probably do that to him. And he'd probably go, all right then. It's lock, stock and so smoking fucking barrels in. I said shotguns. You said what? Guns that fire shots. We'll just do each other's accent. That might be quite fun if we sit as barflies and I'll be from Nashville and he can be from a Guy Ritchie movie before Madonna started rubbing a tweed-infested vagina on his face. Well, I've only got one pair because I left my party shades. I used to buy dollar shades, and then I bought these Lennon ones. So these would be the ones. To be fair, I might even wear this shirt as well because I've only had it on for an hour. Just get a bit silly. I wish I had when I'm in Austin, I want to pick up a USA cowboy hat. So I might do that as well, but I'll only wear it here. But I will wear it on the flight back because I'm fucking obnoxious. So these will be the shades for tomorrow. They'll come out a few hours in. I think they won't be on at first. When things start to get weird, that's the time to put them on. Yeah, I think so. Hey, buddy. I'll follow you right back as soon as I'm done. Also, when there's two of us on here, more often, especially when we start to look, I've got visions where this wants to go. I think that's when we can start growing the channel a lot more. But I'll never, ever forget the OGs that have been here since fucking December. And then this year, right? When I had three subscribers. Now nearing 50. But I think we can get more quickly. Is my thoughts and my plans. So we'll do some interesting stuff, and then we'll do little goals when we hit certain goals. We'll do some weird stuff for you guys as well, I think. But yeah, we'll open up. It'll open up the guest pool as well as people watching it if we get two of us on here regularly. I've made the formal, the informal verbal offer, and we'll finalise it. I'll send some drunk messages. That's the best time to do business, I find. To get to 1 a.m. drunk and then send a ton of messages that you've got too much anxiety to send when you're sober. You wake up the next day and you see the reply from this person. You think, fuck, what the fuck did I say? And then you don't look for 4 hours because you're scared. And then you finally make yourself look and think, oh, it wasn't that bad. It's actually what I meant. Although I did send something to Hack Oddity that I thought was a joke that ended up not being good. And when I'm going to go and see Hack at some point, when we get together and do an in-person podcast, we will talk about that on there. I'll have to see if he's out in the States, actually. He might be going out to Austin. So we'll see. And that's my call to go. We made the 3 minutes, so I'll wrap up. Subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. I know it's abrupt, but yeah. I've got a visitor. All right. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Thanks, Tom. I'm going to go and see Stanhope. Might update everyone on Twitter. Yeah, I saw Chad Zoom. Yeah, I saw Chad Zoom. That looked pretty cool. I couldn't make it, though. I was out. But next week, hopefully, I'll make it if he does it again. Surprise. That's surprising, isn't it? He's done one of that. But yeah, there's a lot more to come from this anyway. Let's wrap this up. Have a good day. Have a good day, Tom. Have a good day, Dean. Anyone else who's watching this back, have a good one. Thank you very much. And I'm going to go off to see Stanhope. That looked a bit like a Nazi salute. Let's just keep it there. All right.